Welcome, everyone, to another exciting show here on Under the Canopy. As always, I am Russell Owens from DGP, that's right, Dynamic Green Products Communications Director. And I have with me my wonderful, wonderful partner in crime here, Marc Goldberg, who is a certified arborist, man extraordinaire, and award-winning author of
An arborist point of view from Under the Canopy. Thanks, Russ.
I like how you did it better. I'm going to have you do it each time. I was about to say it, and then you said it, and it sounded way better when you
Okay.
said it. So we'll do that.
I'll
And
do
then
it. I'll do
also,
it in my podcast voice for you.
yes, we'll do that. Just like I do when I start the show, and I say the little spiel about Under the Canopy. So speaking of Under the Canopy and all of the great things, we have the book, we have the author, and we have the hot sauce, Booty Fire. That's right, Booty Fire hot sauce comes in multiple varieties. There's the regular and there is the medium heat, the Verde version. I tell you though, the Verde version does have some heat to it though. It's not like it's just
Oh no, it sneaks up on you.
sauce. It's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're both very good, very blended. And the thing I love about the hot sauce is that here on the bottle it says, and I quote, "Made with the freshest and finest ingredients I can afford." It does say that at the bottom there. You can probably, it's a little thing. But also thank you to our other sponsor, DGP. That's right. Dynamic Green Products, bar and chain oil, one of the best products on earth. Well, it is the best bar and chain oil on earth, but amazing stuff, bio-based, zero compromise. We're going to riff a little on a very important topic in the industry as a whole, and that in business as a whole for the most part, but I think more so in the trades than you find other places, mainly because a lot of it is owner-operator scenarios, or people come from owner-operator, and then they get bigger and need more employees and all the other things. So time management, folks, time management. It is a critical thing for all of us to think about, but most of us don't want to. Right, Mark?
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think one of the biggest challenges is as an owner operator, you sit back and go, okay, what are my strengths? What am I really good at? And what should I do? And to be able to step back and say, okay, I'm probably not good at human resources. I should try to find someone who is good at that, right? We're all not good at everything. It's really putting together a good team, creating a good team and making it work. If your strengths, production management and production, overlooking equipment, repairing equipment, 9 times out of 10, you do not want to be sitting in an office doing accounts payable. And you're probably not even going to be that good at it. So finding folks that can, fill in for your weak spots, I mean, that's a win-win right there, right? And I think more people, especially the smaller companies, need to do that. And I've even seen challenges too in I would say the medium-sized companies where people are brought in on a different level. People are brought in to do a certain position. We'll say, for instance, they were brought in to be an account manager, which, for the last 20 years, if I hired someone in an account manager role, account manager is taking care of the existing clientele, right? You're not really growing the business. You're keeping your clients happy. You're working with your existing clientele. Business development is similar, but it's not the same thing. Hunting and gathering are completely different, and similar doesn't mean the same. And it's really challenging for people to see that. And it can be really, really hurtful for not just the business, but also for the individual that was hired aboard, right? Both the individual that's coming onto your team and for the business at the end of the day need to be on the same page about job descriptions. And if they're not, it doesn't end well, for sure.
Well, I think that, it does a disservice to bring someone on. And it's really, honestly, I think it's disrespectful to hire someone, have them go through the entire process only to put them in a position that you yourself are not really confident in what that position does or what it's supposed to do, I should say. You hire someone as a business development manager and you're expecting them to bring you new business, but then you're also expecting them to follow up with customers and do all the other things that the accounts manager does. One is, like you said, it's a hunter and gathering. You go out and you get the business, and then you hand it off to the person who is going to keep that business. The accounts
100%.
manager holds that business and make sure that everything's going good. And they're the ones making sure that they're following up on all the promises that you made to acquire that said business. You work in tandem, but when people, and I've been in the same position myself where I've taken a position at a job and it turned out not to be what they, had originally said it was going to be. And then I'm stuck because I'm trying to figure out how to make it happen and how to make it work. But at the same time, I don't have a choice because I just quit another job to go to this next one. So, it's very important, I think, when folks are having a hard time with time management and looking to grow their business, you really need to talk to somebody, find a mentor, find a business coach, whatever it may be, but figure out something and to say, okay, this is what I want to do. What positions do I need, and what do those positions actually do? Because especially nowadays, I think Mark, you hit it on the head because like the BDM position, that term is thrown out there all the time. And like, oh, I'm a business development, I'm a BDM for this and that. But then you start talking to the person, you're like, are you really?
Yeah.
That might be what your employer says you are, but it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, and it's a lose-lose. It's a lose for the individual, and it's a lose for the company, and it's just a waste of time. And for me, that's, and like you said, it's Russ earlier, it's a respect thing, right? People are giving you their time. You want to put them in a position that they have that skill set for. So maybe maybe a company has two or three vacancies. They hire someone as an account manager, like, oh, this guy might be able to be a business developer. Let them kind of do both. It's one, misleading, and it's two, it's not going to be effective or efficient anyways for the business down the road. It's confusing for the new hire. So, I know companies want you to wear several hats, and I understand budgets and I respect that. But at the end of the day, you want to hire someone who has the skill set or has the ability to do that position. Maybe they don't have that experience, but they have that skill set where if they're trained up, they can do that job. But you don't want to put someone in a position where they're going to fail. It doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah. Well, and there's such a huge difference, even just psychologically and personality wise, between selling and handholding. When
100%.
you have that person who's a nurturer, the nurturer is not going to be a good salesperson. They're just
Yeah.
not, because they're going to take too long to make a sale to begin with, because they're going to want to build that relationship and
Yeah.
make it really good, and then they're too afraid to try and like muddy the waters because they're like, oh, we've got a good thing here. I don't want to mess it up. Whereas that salesperson, that's the shark. That's the person who, and I say that in a good way. I don't mean someone taking
Yeah.
advantage of people, but they're hungry. They want to make that sale, move on to the next, and continue to go because that's what builds your business. And then that nurturer, that account manager, is there to take care of that person, make sure their needs are met. And those are two different personalities. And that's where also when you have someone coming up through your organization, be careful of where you promote people.
Well
Because just
said.
because you have a position open and that person says, oh, I've been here 5 years, like
Yeah.
I should get a promotion. Okay, maybe, but does that position actually work for you? Just because you've been here a long time doesn't mean you get the next one that comes open. And that's something that having those conversations throughout, heaven forbid you're actually doing reviews of your staff as you're doing those review processes,
Yeah.
and you're talking about them and coaching them, and you're saying, "Hey, yeah, I'd love for you to move up. These are the types of positions I could see you, working into if we have those available." But and be honest with them, like you won't be a BDM. I don't see you doing that position, or I don't see you being an accounts manager. But just be honest. You can't string them along.
And it's just having those conversations, right? Just to sit down with the individual right there. You're doing it's a favor for the individual and it's good for the business, right? Hey, where do you see yourself in a couple years? What do you want to do? I mean, I've hired many, many groundmen, and some don't want to move up. Some do not want to become climbers. Some do. Some want to become heavy equipment operators.
Yep.
Some want to work their way into climbing, but they really want to work their way into bidding work. Some want to run the day to day operations. Some want to work in production management. They all have different wants, and everybody you have to look at your whole team and you got to talk to them individually. Everybody individually has different skill sets and different strengths. And the more I try to have in my current role right now, Russ, I have one on ones with all my guys. It might be 5 or 10 minutes in the week, but I will sit down with each one of my guys and say, hey, what's
Nice.
going on? I'm checking in with them. Check-ins are huge for a business owner. They're huge in the municipality section. They're huge in the green industry or even out. Check in with your team members. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Any plans this week? You got all the equipment you need? Those conversations are priceless.
And it doesn't have to be a long conversation.
No,
It's
not
just
at
super
all.
short. 'Cause that's where I think with my experience in the different management roles I've had, I found that if nothing else, with all the other benefits of it, if for no other reason than the fact that it allows your staff to feel like they can come to you with things much easier than if you don't talk to them. Then you're like this person in the office where they can't knock on the door because it's, even though it's an open door policy, they worry about those things. When they feel comfortable that they can, like, oh man, I know I'm going to talk to Mark later in the week. I'll make sure to mention X to him because I know I can talk to him. Like that saves you so much headache.
100%. You got to be in management, you got to be approachable, you know, and in tree care and landscape, right? In these trades, something's going to break, right? Something's going to
Mhm.
happen. And you need to be approachable. And when you're approached with, hey, this broke, or I have a problem. Okay, you can solve it. And you got to understand that stuff's going to go sideways. It's just, I'll put a production schedule together on Wednesday, and then the next day I'm already changing it because
Right.
a storm came through, right? Someone called in sick, right? You know, family emergency. Now your team's in half, and now you're figuring out what you need to do, and everything changes. But you got to have, you got to be pliable. You got to work with your team members. You got to care. You can't ask people to do stuff that you wouldn't do yourself. And it's amazing, that culture is huge. And everybody talks about you got to have a great culture. You do. You got to have a great culture, but it doesn't happen overnight. You got to be consistent and persistent,
Yeah.
and you got to be yourself, and you got to be honest with people. Russ, in my career, I've, after a few days and even after a few months, and I've had guys that work with the company for 10 plus years. You know, I've had to walk people out because
Mm.
they were gonna hurt themselves, right? And it wasn't gonna be under my watch, right? My mantra in the industry is every day you need to go home with the same amount of fingers and toes, right? And I
Seems like such a small ask, right?
it's a small ask, right? And at the end of the day, safety, 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 safety. And if you're the one sending people out in the field and you don't feel comfortable with their skill set and they're using equipment they shouldn't use because they don't have that skill set, or they told you they had that skill set, and then you go to the job
Yeah.
site
Yeah.
and they're hanging out of a tree, and they got one hand on the chainsaw, they come back to the office, they're going home and they're probably not going to work for me anymore. And that's definitely true in the private sector. I didn't mess around in tree care. And you can't. And
Yeah.
in landscape as well, you're dealing with equipment. Tree care is a top 10 dangerous industry, in the United States. There's just no messing around. There's no wiggle room. It's
Yeah.
not personal at that point. Because I'd rather have someone be upset with me the rest of their life than me calling a family member saying they're not coming home.
Yeah. Well, and it goes to even just regular day to day as well. There's people that I've let go who just it didn't make sense for them to be in the position they were in. It just they couldn't do the job. They didn't like the job. I mean, you name it. There's a variety of reasons, depending on the person. But there's so many people that I have terminated from the position where then I meet up with them, whatever. I come across them a couple years later, and they're just thriving. They're having the time of their life because
Uh,
they're like, oh, I was doing that job, but I hated it and everything else. Like that actually was, one of the best things that happened to me because I found this other gig and now I love it. And I'm not saying that's going to happen every time, but a lot of times it does because again, person's just not in the right position. It's not the right job and they feel stuck in it. So they're just going to keep doing it, until something changes. Sometimes you have to make that change. And I think
yeah,
that managers spend way too much time waiting to make that decision. You got to do it now. Like if something comes up, boom. I mean, if someone's in the training process and they make a mistake while training, yeah, sure, whatever. And there's those certain things that will happen. But otherwise, you can't be like, oh, this person did it again, and it's
yeah.
6 months, and now it's a year later,
It's
and then
funny.
all the rest of the staff are like, oh, I get written up for that, or I get chewed out for that, and this person's been doing it since they got hired.
I was with a company and, you know, we installed cameras inside the vehicles. Not because I wanted to spy on
Mm,
everybody, but it was, at the end of the day, there's accidents and you want to cover your butt, right? So
yeah.
and we had the cameras and they went out the windshield and they also went and watched the driver, right? And it would actually like if someone didn't have their seatbelt, I'm getting emails, right, and text messages.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
And I had to sit down with a guy that was in the industry for like almost 30 years. And I'll never, it's crazy. And I never forget this conversation. And I brought him to my office and I said, we'll call him Mr. X for this conversation. Mr. X, you know, um, you're not wearing your seatbelt. What do you mean? I was like, I wear my seatbelt. Like, okay. And I play the video on my computer. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I don't wear a seatbelt. I climb trees. Trees are dangerous. I'm safe, safe in the vehicle. I'm like, what the heck is, so you're having these conversations and you're like, they're almost like out of body experiences because you're like, how is this even possible right now?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's I
amazing. It's amazing. But that's how technology though has for me helped a lot and actually is going to make things safer down the road anyways. But
oh, for sure.
it's funny how when we put them in, I have a map on my computer and I can see, GPS, you can see where the trucks are going. And then I was checking and I'm like, man, that camera looks fuzzy. I couldn't see where it was going and I couldn't see inside the cab. Right. So at the end of the shift, I went out to the truck and the whole whole camera's covered with tape. They taped it. The guys taped it, and I'm like, so then I have to have these conversations. Like, look, I'm not spying on you guys. You know.
But also, like, who tapes the camera and, like, thinking, like, somehow that what is that hiding like, you're not it's going to be noticed. So what the
Well, 100%. I mean, it's
it's not
ridiculous.
like you're gonna be sitting there going like, "Oh, I can't see. Oh, well, I guess that camera's down," and not worry about it.
Yeah, and so I it's technology is cool, and technology is definitely, needed, um, and we use it all the time. I use it all the time now, and it's such a great tool. It makes things a lot easier. You're wondering, do the guys get the site? Maybe because I always do group text in the morning. I do individual text too, and I say, hey, checking in. Let me know if you guys need anything this morning. Um, and I'm expecting, when the first thing in the morning, I expect our starting point is here, then we're going to here, and I need to know that. And I tell my team all the time, it's not because I'm spying on you. Is God forbid something happens, I know where I can race out to and know where you're at. I mean, it's just a lot of common sense, and it's just really building that trust with your team as well, right? Like, hey, I want to know what's going on because I want to try to help you guys out. I want to be productive. I want to be efficient. You guys are part of the team here.
Well, and why is
That's
it
just
that
part of the
people
process.
I've never understood why staff doesn't understand the concept of making things more efficient and faster and better running means that you save money, which means you make more profit, which means, heaven forbid, you can give more money to the staff.
Yeah.
It's all, it's a one big cycle, you know? So these guys are constantly talking about like, oh, I need a pay raise. I need that. Like, well, more than happy to do that, but we need to function a little bit better. I can't have you stopping at the gas and sip 5 times a day to fill up the vehicle.
And then, you also try to also kind of, then from that and what your team is and at different companies, there's certain things you have to implement, right? So we started one of the companies, we had a fuel truck show every night and gas up all the trucks, right? So in the morning, you don't have to go get gas. You're going straight to the job site, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that
Yeah.
saved us
For sure.
a
Yeah.
lot of time and labor. If you're managing 16 folks that leave the yard at the same time, 4 out of those 5 trucks stop for gas and everybody needs coffee. And then before you know it, you're not on the job. You're out an hour each way sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Most likely you're lucky to get 5.5 hours of work in an 8-hour day with travel time, especially here in Southern California, right? You're eating on traffic, right? The
Oh,
windshield time
sure.
just
Oh,
kills
yeah.
you.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
you got to try to be efficient as possible. And so it challenges you to be creative. Not because, hey guys, I don't want you to stop for coffee. It's like, well, you know what? I'm going to save you a few bucks. Bring coffee to work. Or I have coffee in the kitchen. Go grab coffee before you guys leave.
And I would come up with a plan for the day, and it was like the times were just getting blown way out. I was like, "This doesn't make sense. What's happening here?" And one of the things I found was that the guys weren't starting their lunch break until they arrived at the place they were eating lunch. So if they were driving across town 15, 20 minutes to a place, they were like, if they left at 1 o'clock and they were driving and they got there at 1:15, then they didn't actually leave that place until, 2:15 because that was their hour break.
Yeah.
And then another 20 minutes back to, so it's like a 2 hour basically gap of
Yeah.
time.
You wonder
Like,
why
no,
you're
that's
not
not
getting a
how this
job
works.
done, right?
Like, that's not how this works, guys.
No. It's then I've even broken down hours with my team members. Hey guys, I got X amount of guys and this was the expectation. This is what I bid the job at. And then when, you reverse engineer the numbers and go, you know, and then at the end of the day, you find out that half the cones went to the dump because you left them in the back of the truck and the mulch ended up on top of it. And you lost your rake and you lost your shovel and that how that whole thing goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's important to have the right guys in place or gals. It doesn't matter, and just to be efficient out there and productive. And at the end of the day, it's we've gotten a bonus structures too at some jobs where,
Mhm.
at the end of the quarter, hey, this is what we made, and we were productive on these jobs, and we can bonus people out. So there's a lot of tools out there, and
Oh, yeah.
team members appreciate getting an extra few $100 here and there, or just a bigger bonus at the end of a quarter for production. So there's a lot of ways to build good teamwork for sure.
Right. Well, it's, exactly what you were saying. If you share, the more open you are with the team about how things work, then they'll understand that side of it. If they understand that, oh crap, I broke this piece of equipment. Oh well, it's not my equipment, not my pay. But then they realize like, oh wait, that that does come out of my pocket in one way or another. You might
Oh,
not charge that guy at the end of the day for the rake and say, well, I'm taking $15 out of your paycheck for that rake. When that guy comes around and says, hey, can I get another dollar an hour for working for you? And you're like, well, you've messed up 3 pieces of equipment over the past
uh,
6 months.
yeah. Or,
I
we've had
can't
missing
justify that.
chainsaws, Russ, that just disappear. I mean, there's 1,500, 1,200, $800 hits on this stuff, and and unfortunately, I've had to let people go because, one individual, within 3 weeks, 2 saws are missing. It's like, you're losing, you lose your big saw and you lose a climbing saw in a couple weeks. It's like, unfortunately, we're gonna have to move on. At the end of the day, you want to hire the right person for the right position. You want to build teamwork. You want to build trust. You want to be efficient out there. You want your team members to take ownership, and it has to come natural, right? And that's where culture, that culture, and it's consistent and being persistent and consistent. And it's not easy, but if you're in a management role, it's a necessity. You can't. The whole thing is, at the end of the day, it can't be faked, and it just if someone's fake, it's not going to work, right? You got to be real and honest with people, and sometimes honesty hurts, but you have to be honest with your team members. And you all have to be heading in the same direction.
Well, I think you also have to be honest with yourself because not everybody, in fact, it is few and far between that people are really exceptional managers. It just doesn't happen every day. Not everyone can learn to be a manager. It's just like any other trait, like being a salesperson or anything else. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can learn the basics and all the things involved, but to really be an outstanding manager, salesperson, whatever, you have to have that certain gift for it. And I think that's where a lot of business owners fall down because they want to run everything themselves. And so they're like, yeah, I'll hire some people to help me and then I'll manage them. No, you're not.
yeah,
You own a business that also has employees at that point. You're not actually managing the people. So
yeah,
that's something to be that's very important, I think, is that, especially for someone, if someone's an owner operator out there, they're looking to hire someone because they just can't do it all themselves. Hire someone, you have to take a hit on that extra wage, hire someone from the beginning that you can train into management. Don't just hire a person with 2 legs and 2 arms that can hold a shovel. Hire someone that then can be the person who's in charge, who turns into that team leader or the supervisor when you hire the next person. Don't wait until you have 3 or 4 people and they go, "Oh, shit, I need a supervisor." No, don't do it that way. Do it the other way. Because
yeah,
the whole reason you're hiring people is because you can't do it by yourself. And so don't assume that you're just going to be the most amazing manager ever, because odds are at that point, you're so stressed out and strung out that you're not going to be making good decisions anyway when it comes to trying to train people. I was just talking to somebody the other day and they were saying, they were asking me my advice on whether they should keep someone or not that they had hired. And so we were running down a list. I had some questions for them, and they said, well, yesterday they broke this piece of equipment, and I don't even know how they were able to manage it. And I was like, well, how far out from training are they? Are they still in training? Are they in, like, where are they at in the process? I said, oh, I haven't even had time to train. I just, there's too much going on. And I started laughing. They're like, what are you laughing about? I'm like, well, how can you hold that person accountable if you never
yeah,
trained them?
yeah,
Like, that's your problem right there, is that you
yeah.
didn't take the time. So again, make sure you understand what you're doing before you start, expanding your business in that aspect of taking on more people.
Yeah, and especially in tree care too, right? I know we've talked about this, and I say this to people all the time. If you're hiring people in trees, like in tree care industry, and they don't have a passion for trees, please don't hire them. You're just wasting everybody's time. I mean, you gotta love tree care. You have a passion for trees, before you get in the industry, and then from there, we can figure out their skill sets or what they're capable of, and
Yeah.
where you want to move them within your business. But if you just don't have a passion for trees and you want to get into tree care, it's not going to work out for sure.
Yeah.
It's a colossal waste of time. I've seen it. I've had people come over from different. Hey, I want to give it a shot. It's like, no, that's not what you want to tell me. You want to say, I have a passion for
Right,
trees,
yeah, yeah, I
and
wanna
this
try
is
it out.
why. Just, believe me, 8 hours drag and brush. If you don't have a passion for trees, you're probably not going to come in the next day for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's I think, it's like it's one of those jobs where there's that certain amount of flash and bravado to it that for good reason, but, that appeals to certain people, and it's one of those things where, they wanna start up here and don't realize that you gotta start down here and, work through all that other stuff, and it's not, and even job itself, like, I don't think there's any aspect of tree work that's pretty where you're gonna you're going to come down looking like a rock star at the end of the day. You're
Yeah. You're gonna go home and you're gonna wanna shower, and then you're probably gonna fall asleep before 7.
Yeah, like, it's just
You know?
it's not a pretty line of work, and,
No.
in the aspect of being able to look the same way you did when you left for work, when you get home and feeling the same way, it's just not gonna happen, and I don't mean for those who know, it's worth it. That's why you just said you have to love it,
Have to love it.
because of things like that. So, people that wanna give it a try, I'm like, "Go find somewhere that you can volunteer some time or something, and, Parks and Recreation or something along that line
Yeah.
that will,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
go
give you."
volunteer at even the tree planting. Just do some of that, do something in the industry and get some experience to go, "Yeah, maybe this is something I wanna pursue before I jump into it," because it's obviously physically challenging when you're in the climbing position and you're in a position as a laborer supporting a tree climber. So these jobs are not easy jobs, so you gotta have a passion for it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, I forgot to ask you before we started today. Did you happen to come up with some questions?
Yeah. You want me to ask you some questions?
Yeah, let's well, because I was thinking because I was just looking at the time. It's pretty good time
Yeah.
to move into the question and answer period. We can kind of use that to
Sure. I have a question.
pull things out.
Your beard. How many years have you had this beard, and will you ever shave it off?
I was not expecting that one. So currently, this actually hasn't been that long. It's been maybe 6 months, eight
Okay.
months, something like that. I mean, I had facial hair prior, but as far as like an actual beard, I would say about 6 to 8 months. But I have had it. The longest I've had it was probably, let's see, about down to maybe like
Down to slick?
maybe top of slick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, about there.
That's
So
that's good.
I don't know how long I'm gonna let it go. A little bit longer. I kinda like it, you know, a little bit longer length, but definitely will never shave it completely off. My wife would probably divorce me if I did that. So mine is much greater. I can say that thankfully to this, I don't have to worry about pulling out my ID ever.
Oh, there you go.
There's way too much gray in it nowadays. I do still every once in a while have someone who looks at me and then they ask for it, and I'm like, "Really? Come on now. Come on." So, the first question I had for you was when you were a kid, before you decided on your love for trees, what was a job that you were dead set on that you were going to have?
I actually did it for a few years, and then I realized it doesn't pay well, and I got out of it. So growing up, I played a lot of soccer,
Mm.
so I wanted to be a soccer coach. So actually,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So and I did it for a few years after college. I actually coached JV and varsity at the high school level, and then realized, like this this isn't really paying the bills. And I kind of walked away from it. When it actually coached when my daughter was a lot younger, I came back out of retirement of coaching and coached her 10-year-old girls team. And that scared the heck out of me where I'll never coach again. Those girls are crazy. So, yeah, no, coaching was something I always wanted to do. It was fun, but it was, yeah, I'm glad I've moved on, but it was definitely an experience for sure. A lot harder than I thought, to be honest with you.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, I've never done the coach thing. The closest I've come to that is doing like umping and stuff. At my kids' games when they were growing up, where it was like the league where we didn't actually have like the umps that we paid. So like random parents, like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to be the ump and you're going to be the first base coach or
Yeah.
first base, umpire and all that kind of stuff. So, but never had to do the coaching thing. Yeah, I leave that to folks like you.
I'm retired now from coaching. So
I couldn't do
let
it.
some young person
Maybe like
jump in.
older kids or something, but I don't know how coaches do it when they're coaching younger kids. I just yeah.
Yeah. The, Look, when I was coaching high school kids, and we're talking, now I'm really aging myself. We're talking late 90s, we'll say. Okay. It was when I was coaching, right? I mean,
18?
now as you know, with social media and cell phones, I thought I couldn't get their attention back then. I can't
Oh,
imagine coaching and
yeah.
teaching today.
That's a good point. Hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
So
absolutely crazy. All right, what'd you get? Next question. What we got?
I'm back at you.
Give it to me. Yep.
All right. I don't know this, so I'm gonna ask your favorite tree, Russ.
My favorite tree. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know the
Scientific
scientific name
name.
for it,
Okay.
but I've always called it a monkey tree. It's like a pine type tree, but it's the most insane tree ever to try and climb because like it's like a porcupine basically.
Oh wow.
We had
You don't
one.
want to be climbing it.
when we were in Washington, we had it in our front yard. I'll have to now that we're talking about it, I'm gonna look it up real quick while we're speaking so that I can
Okay.
we had one in our front yard in when we were up in, Washington, and monkey puzzle tree is technically the name for it. It's the Araucaria araucana,
Okay, we have
whatever
we
that
have a few running around here in San
so,
Diego. You don't see
yeah,
too many of them, but they're here.
it's a conifer native to the Andes Mountains. So anyway, but yeah, so really beautiful tree, and like they just look amazing. But I mean, like death defying to climb, and so that's I don't know. It's always been just really cool to me that tree, and because I had never seen one until we moved to that place.
Cool, cool.
So speaking of trees, though, it's kind of funny you asked me that one because I had a
Yes.
tree related question for you.
Okay.
For my second question was, so what is your favorite movie that either has a forest theme or takes place primarily in a forest setting? It could be a jungle as well. It doesn't have to be, forest. It can be jungle forest, but a movie that has a lot of trees going on in it.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Like that one? You like that?
I think you stumped me. Get it? Stumped me. You stumped me, Russ. Let me think here.
Well, you're okay. I'll give you a second to think about it. I'll tell you
Give
what
me.
mine is.
All
Just
right,
so
go ahead.
so mine is Rambo, the original Rambo.
Oh, we're in the rainforest.
Because no, because he's the first like 3/4 of the movie take place when he's in the forest, trying to run from the cops.
Did that take place in like Washington State where he was hiding or something?
It was Canada is where it was
Okay.
filmed. Yeah, BC, I believe.
Okay.
There was parts of it that were filmed in Washington as well. But yeah, that first section of it and everything, and then up until basically when he came out of the woods, and the finale was of course in town. But yeah, the majority of it was in the woods. But that's one of my all time favorite forest movies, or movies that happen in the forest, I should say. Other than Return of the Jedi, the whole Ewoks and
Oh yeah, yeah. I love the Ewoks, man. Those
the
things are
Moon of
great.
Endor.
You still have me stumped. Just so you know, I might have to think about this for the next week and come circle back around here because I really don't have a good answer.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's I'll take that.
No, I know where you're going. I would say this though. When I do watch movies or TV, what I do all the time is I look at the trees and I try to determine what the species is and where the movie's taking place. So I'm always
Okay,
trying
yeah.
to figure, you know what I'm saying? So I do that a lot more than, but I am still going to think about your first question though.
Yeah, we'll get it. Well, and I'll ask you we're winding it down so we can you can ask your final question to me, and then I'll have my final for you, which will be a much easier question for you. I
Okay.
promise.
Yeah. You know what would be interesting is how long have you been with DG?
Employed or just aligned with DGP?
I would say employed.
Employed. I have been with DGP since October 1st of last year.
Okay. And
So
then,
whatever that's been, 4 months now. October, November, December. So well, I guess it's been 5 months. Yeah, 5 months. Just over. But I've been a faithful follower of DGP, faithful user of DGP since the beginnings. Whenever that's, I mean, back from the original days prior to DGP when it was actually NV Earth.
okay. You and Scott go way back.
Yeah, since the NV Earth days.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been since whatever that's been, like 2015, 2016 or something like that. 2015, 16.
That's
Something.
crazy. It just flies by. I mean, you're looking
Yeah.
at,
Oh yeah, it is. That's why it's always hard for me to remember exactly because it just seems like
yeah,
it's not hasn't
a
been that long.
decade, you know?
Yeah. 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 It doesn't seem like it's been already been 5 months that I've been with DGP as far as being actually part of the company. It
Well, you're
seems like
blowing it up to social media. I mean,
quick. So
yeah, it's been fun to
trying
watch.
trying to get those things going, making things happen, but got all kinds of stuff happening this year, that's for sure. So it's going to be exciting. So for everybody watching and listening to this and or listening to this, you got to follow DGP Works is the main DGP channel, but then we also have DGP pretty much everything. DGP Carver, DGP Farmer, DGP Logger, Tree Care, Slick Insanity. Just
Yeah.
all the places that you can find things. And rolling into the last question, Mark, for you for
Yes.
this evening is tell me one book that you think every arborist should read.
Well, the
That was an
Western
easy
Garden
one
book,
for you. What are you talking about?
it's, you're killing me today, Russ. The Western Garden book is a book that I got. It just has all plants and trees and its stuff. It's a Sunset Western Garden book, and it's a book that literally sat at my desk for the last 25 years from job to job to job. And it's got
Gotcha.
great species selections. It just open it up and it doesn't get old. So I think that one, it's not like a novel or anything like that. It's more of a tool that I've used a
Sure. Yeah, like a
lot. So
reference.
yeah,
Reference
it just
kind of
follows me around. I have the same copy that sitting on my desk now here. Well, that book, that's a great book, An Arborist Point of View
stuff.
from
Oh, so
Under the
this book
Canopy. I love that book
That's
by
what I thought
Mark
you were
A.
going to answer
Goldberg.
with when I asked that question.
I think everybody should have that book.
That's why I said it was an easy question for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. No, that I didn't want to, say that, So there's a lot of great books out there. I love my book though, for
Speaking
sure.
of,
But
yes, once more, go say it
sure,
again because you said it so cool.
I appreciate it. An Arborist Point of View from Under the Canopy by Mark A. Goldberg on Amazon and many online platforms. Or if you're in the San Diego area, you want to go by the University of California, San Diego, it's over in their bookstore over there.
Speaking of, one more time with the other folks, remember
Oh, yeah.
Booty Fire.
Booty
That's right.
Fire.
And I just realized I forgot to mention booty-fire.com
Yes.
for the website.
Booty-fire.com. Booty Fire
Did not
out of San Antonio, Texas.
read that one. And they
Good
also have
stuff. Love it.
he's also got a full line of seasoning like rubs and everything as well. There's an SPG and there's one specific to pork and veggies
Yeah.
and beef and everything. So make sure to check those.
I
I've
just used. Where's mine?
got everything. I've got
Yeah, this
everything.
one
And
right
I use
here.
everything.
Let me see. I used this one
Oh yeah.
tonight on some turkey.
Yep.
And this one was delicious. So
Yeah,
yeah, the dry
SPG
rubs
is
are great.
awesome. The dry rubs are great. The one for veggies is, I mean, it's a multi-purpose. You can use it. I've
Yeah.
used the veggie one on chicken as well, and really good. So make sure to check them out. Booty-fire.com. And then, of course, the one that I am all logoed up with. That's right. Dynamic Green Products. You find them at changeyouroil.com. That's right. Changeyouroil.com. Make sure to go over there, look it up, look where everything is. You can find products at, I got to sit up a little bit higher. There we go. Do It Best. You can find DGP at Do It Best stores all over the country, as well as Amazon, of course. And you can also get it at changeyouroil.com if you're looking for more than one. You can get it in bulk size there. So make sure to make that happen. Enjoy everything else. But thank you all for listening in, tuning in, watching all the things, and sharing, of course, and liking and subscribing or whatever else people have to do these days. Support us. Thank you so much for listening to Under the Canopy. And thank you, Mark, as always, for joining me on these wonderful journeys. I look forward to finding out what your answer to the favorite movie with a forest theme. And if you're listening to this or watching this, feel free to message me at russell@dgpworks.com. That's russell@dgpworks.com. You can email me there, I guess I should say. That's Russell with 2 L's. And let me know if you have a favorite as well. Or you can message us on any of the socials as well and let us know what your favorite was. If you decide to do so, I'll send you some free product. How about that?
That sounds like a win-win right there.
So it is. It is. It also help us see if anybody listens to the end of the show. So
We're going to find out, Russ.
thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you on the next Under the Canopy.